Hello and welcome, my friendly viewers, to another week of streaming the Forgotten City. And hi, hello and welcome. I'm Zilla, and this is my playthrough of the Forgotten City, where we will be exploring an ancient Roman city. If you have not been keeping up and you do not want this game spoiled for you, either go back to the beginning or play it yourself and then come back. But be assured that all videos do get transferred to my YouTube channel, which is Zilla's Athenaeum, www.youtube.com/Zillas_Athenaeum. And you can see them all there if you want to catch up for the next live stream. Having a little trouble seeing the chat. And I don't know why the game is taking so long to load. There we go. Alright. So yes, feel free to say hello if you are here live watching. And while we are waiting for the game to load properly, I will do a little bit of recap, so just be aware, spoilers start here. So yes, we are an archaeologist who has woken up mysteriously on a riverbank near the Tiber. Good, it loaded, so I'll pause for a moment. We were tasked with going into a set of ancient Roman ruins and figuring out what happened to another bystander. We fell into what seems to be an ancient Roman city buried in a cave deep underground, where we were transported to the past, to the year 64 or 65 CE. And this town is populated with a bunch of Romans and people who were in Rome at that time. And we slowly but surely figured out that they are, in fact, all dead, and the woman who met us on the riverbank was not Karen, but Charon, the ferryman of the underworld. So we're trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Seems to be some kind of terrifying little annex of Dis, the underworld, Hades. And we're trying to figure out a way out, or to at least solve the problem of the golden rule, which is that if anybody breaks a mysterious and unspecified set of circumstances, which is called sinning here, everyone will be shot with arrows that turn them into golden statues. Now, we are currently underneath the city, where we have located first a set of ancient Greek ruins, with an old philosopher in them, who says that he was part of a collection of Greeks who were here before the Romans took over and recarved everything above in their image, and that he has escaped his cohorts being turned into statues by being where there are no statues to see him. That led us to an even further underground area, which appears to be Egyptian, below the Greek ruins. We are looking for a man named Kabash, who was in Rome and was in the Roman city up top, but is himself an Egyptian person, and he has come down into the Egyptian ruins for unknown as yet reasons. But there are also in this area some golden statues that appear to be essentially mummies. They will try to kill us. Fortunately, we have this golden bow of our own, and we can turn them solid if I can shoot them. Okay, so much for recap. Let's get into the game. So, what do we got here? Where am I exactly? I'm up on this bridge. I've already shot those fellas. I think that is the way I am going. Yes. But unfortunately, this walkway has been damaged, so I'll have to go back down. Yeah, I'll bet he was running from something. Ah, yes. My favorite artifact, the ancient Egyptian board game Senet. There are several sets of it around here. What attracted me to this game in the first place, aside from the relatively low level of combat, because this is one of only 2 areas in the game where there's anything to fight at all, and it is, strictly speaking, optional. But one of the things that attracted me to this game in the first place was knowing just how much work went into getting these artifacts just right. These beautiful vases, they're real artifacts. I'm not an Egyptologist, I'm a Hellenist, so I know a lot more about the stuff higher up than I do about the things here, but I have had it confirmed to me by Egyptologists that these are copies of real artifacts for the most part. These are real paintings with hieroglyphs that actually say things, and these cartouches are of real important people. Oh, I love it. I love it dearly. So, let's see. Well, that poor woman got crushed after being turned into gold. I can't tell if that is a mummy standing over there. Ooh, a statue of Aker. Aker, an ancient Egyptian deity said to guard against evil spirits and welcome dead to the underworld. So yes, again, we get confirmation that, indeed, we are in some version of the underworld, no matter which version of the underworld god is ruling it. I'm just gonna go ahead and take a shot at that fella. Well, either I already got him, or it's not actually a mummy. Let's look over here. You, poor man, have been buried. You can see the Egyptian-style clothing. Am I hearing something? Oh, I can't get up there, can I? Oh, I can. Okay. This is the other half of that walkway. I was hoping we could get up close on another building, but it looks like that's not possible. But we can at least come look at the... Ouch! Don't stand in the fire. It's a bad idea. I just wanted to look at the doorway. But as you can see, it is carved with lovely hieroglyphics, which I sadly do not anymore remember how to read. Oh, and above our Aker statues we have another Anubis, the psychopomp, the Egyptian psychopomp, who guides dead souls to the underworld after weighing their heart against the weight of a feather. We have some more golden statues. Okay, a new room. More of these lovely Egyptian columns, more of these people fleeing. I'm being cautious because you never know. Oh, you can see that the statues will turn to face you, they know you're there. You never know where there's a mummy lurking around behind a column or something down here. Look at all these Anubis statues. I love them. And you can see how everything is painted, right? Like, it's not just carved, but painted. Even the statuary. Like, you got some, can you tell on these? Certainly you could tell on a lot of the carvings elsewhere further up in the city. But I don't know if the Anubis has anything visible on him. And one thing that is a little bit sad is that they do just copy artifacts sort of endlessly. I wish they were all unique, but they're not. So I don't see any mummies. This is our ubiquitous warning about the Golden Rule. The many shall suffer for the sins of the one. And I'm told that that is accurate Egyptian for the time period that they're going for. Oh, that flickering torchlight makes me anxious. Now here we can see, yeah, you can tell like this is the same set of carvings with the cartouche and then the hand icon and then the bowl as the doorway we jumped in the fire accidentally trying to get a good look at. These doors have been busted open. The only way forward. Look at them, they're beautiful. Clearly I need to take up Egyptian. I haven't gotten around to it. Right now I'm taking Luwian, which is not quite the same. It's not at all the same. But yeah, you get these very different haircuts from the statues further up. A much more Egyptian style. I do need to adjust the controls, I think. But I did not get around to it. Oh, hello. You look human. You look like an actual person, in fact.
Stop. Do not come any closer. Who are you?
Well, this must be Kabash. Look at that lovely Egyptian mantle that he is wearing. Very vibrant. I don't know what it's made out of, but my guess is that it is a mixture of metals and textiles. It looks perhaps like it looks like it ought to be a piece of armor, but I'm not sure that it is. It looks more like jewelry. Gosh, I just wish I knew more about Egypt. But I do love that they've gone ahead and made him seriously African, seriously of the phenotype that we associate with Africa. They do a very good job in this game of not just having it be like, white-coated people. Because Egypt and Egyptians are not white. I mean, even Romans and Greeks are not necessarily, like even 100 years ago in the US, they weren't considered white. So now we have this mixture of people who lived around the Roman Empire. And yeah, the Roman Empire extended into Egypt, extended into other parts of North Africa, as far along the coast as Morocco, and they really thought of the empire as conquering the sea, because that's the main way of fast travel. So, like, yeah, they didn't go very far down south into Africa, but they really do control all of the coastline, and that's really what they consider the important part. So there are a lot of black Romans, and here, in a sense, we have one, a Roman Egyptian, who has, a lot of the more classically African phenotypes of hair and facial structure. And he's probably He's probably more in touch with history than anyone else in this entire city.
I am Kabash. And let me guess, another Greek or Roman come to loot and plunder the resting place of my ancestors.
This is something that we've really come into contact with, is this cycle of purging the history that we don't want, looting it for antiquities, claiming it as our own. You know, the Romans claimed the Greek things as theirs and overwrote them as Roman. The Greeks claimed Egyptian things as their own and overwrote them. And, you know, it points the finger squarely at us as colonizers, as colonizing civilizations. Which is, I think, entirely fair, if not 100% accurately portrayed here, but you know, it's a video game, they're simplifying. I am actually really curious if I look Greek or Roman.
Trousers, boots, curious here. No, I suppose you do not. Then what do you want?
So, he can recognize our clothing as not being typical of Greece or Rome. Trousers were certainly known, but they were much more of a Persian thing, something associated with, you know, deep into Asia. And, you know, and then, you know, we have these boots rather than sandals. So, you know, sandals are much easier to construct, and are much more common in the hot climate of the of the northern Mediterranean. So Greeks and Romans typically wear sandals. So actually do Egyptians, but boots are much more of a Persian thing, or you might find them further north into Europe. But the curious hair comment I think is kind of fun, because I have no idea what that means to him. We have no idea what we look like, honestly. So, maybe it's just that our hairstyle is like up in a bun and simple.
To what end?
So, the plaques, there is a temple, presumably, to Pluto, to the god of the underworld, up at the sort of high point of the city, and there is a plaque missing from each side of an obelisk that's out front. An obelisk is a very Egyptian artifact, so I think it's kind of funny that it has it. But, you know, the sides of the obelisk, when we looked at them in the previous stream, we had one side that was clearly in Latin, one side that was clearly in Greek, one side that was clearly Egyptian hieroglyphs, and one side that looked kind of cuneiform, or Akkadian, Assyrian, something like that. So, who knows what he'll think of our mission, but I intend to tell him.
That is welcome news. You really are not Greek or Roman, are you? I was planning to return it myself, but for now, I must remain. Here, take it, and restore the honor of Osiris.
So, a plaque bearing a hieroglyphic inscription, Osiris, Lord of Silence. And I am informed by my Egyptologist friends that this is, in fact, actually what this says. I do recognize the symbol for Osiris, that I'm at least I think I do. I believe that seated man figure is commonly associated with Osiris. But yeah, so he's calling the lord of this place Osiris. Our unnamed Greek friend, a layer above, called him Hades, and up in the Roman city they call him Pluto. These gods are not necessarily the same in the details, but they all rule the underworld, and in this game they're clearly meant to be the same entity.
Now, as for the other plaque. Indeed, I have it right here. I stumbled across a collection of dusty curiosities while searching for a place to hide from the hungry children of Amit, and there it was.
The hungry children of Amit. I don't know Amit offhand. I will look it up. I'll look it up right now. Why, in fact. Amit, a goddess with the forequarters of a lion, the hindquarters of a hippopotamus, and the head of a crocodile. The three largest man-eating animals known to ancient Egypt, claims Wikipedia. She was known as the devourer of the dead and the eater of hearts, who lived near the scales of justice, where Anubis weighs the heart of a person against a feather. So, Amit is the goddess who will eat an impure heart. So the hungry children of Amit are those unfortunate souls who I've been calling mummies and are just marked as golden statues in here. But I think the children of Amit is a pretty appropriate judgment call for them. So he managed to hide from the mummies, but you can see he actually has a bow. Most other people in this game do not have any weapons at all, because of course killing someone is very clearly a sin, and will break the rule, and we happen to know that it breaks the rule, because we're in a time loop, and we can do that.
You may not. In fact, I am about to destroy it.
Oh, don't tell me.
Because it speaks a treacherous, blasphemous lie. I will tell you, but first, do you know what this place is?
So, because I chose the archaeologist character, I have the Egyptian name of the underworld available as an answer. And I think I'm going to go with it. He seems very receptive to playing to his particular culture.
Indeed. And I see you know our history. This is the Duat. See what has become of it. I have been down here for weeks, piecing together its story. And here is what I have learned. As Egypt declined and the Greeks had their turn to flourish, their souls came here in great numbers. But instead of adopting our ways, they copied and corrupted them. When they found the obelisk bearing the name Osiris, the true god of the underworld, they desecrated it, removing his name and replacing it with Hades. Even the ferryman of the dead, known to my people long before as Kerti, they renamed to Keron. As if that desecration was not enough, they built over this place, using it as the foundation for their own underworld, so that ours was forgotten. My only solace is that the Greeks then suffered the same fate when the Romans rose to power, renaming Hades to Pluto, and the cycle began anew.
So, this is a pretty explicit declaration of how this cycle keeps continuing, right? And this theme of colonizer cultures, rather than assimilating or adopting or celebrating the cultures that they colonize, they take what they want, and then they write over it with their own identity. And that's kind of what colonization is, right? So he's sort of asserting that this form of the underworld is an act of the cycle of colonization, and you know what's coming, right? I foresee, with the wisdom of video game knowledge, trope knowledge, having seen the obelisk, that his people did it too.
I am glad to hear it. Which brings me to this other, fourth plaque. It is inscribed with a script I do not recognize, but it is ancient, almost as if it is older than the plaque bearing Osiris's name.
Almost
But
as
if
if.
that is so, it would imply the gods of Egypt are mere imitations too, copied and corrupted from an ancient people who prospered even before us. And that my people did to them what the Greeks and Romans did to us. But this, I cannot accept. I sense a deception. Perhaps it is the work of Set, the usurper, seeking to undermine Osiris once more.
Yep. Oh boy.
You will never know. This work of sacrilege must be destroyed, thrown into the black abyss below in Osiris's name.
Please don't.
You are too late. It is done. You would plunge into the depths of the Duat with no way back up. Madness.
Yeah, it probably is, but you know.
If it will help you to see reason, then ask.
So
I
how'd you
am
get
from
here?
Rakotis, which you may know as Alexandria, the name of the city the Greeks built over it. I was a fisherman, like my father before me. Since the Romans had taken over from the Greeks, I took the opportunity to learn Latin and eventually traveled to Rome. When the fires broke out last year, I tried to help. I gathered terrified locals into my boat and led many of them to safety farther along the Tiber. On my 7th trip, a passenger demanded I wait for his brother. But we were full to almost sinking, and smoke was all around us. I told him his brother would have to save himself, and he tried to bribe me by placing a coin into my hand. When I refused, he drew a dagger and thrust it between my ribs. I awoke on the banks of the river to a stranger wearing a ram headdress. He said his name was Kerti, and at the time, I simply thought him odd. It did not dawn on me until much later that he was the Kerti, the ram-headed ferryman described in the Book of the Dead.
Right. So, Egypt also has a river of the dead, and it is, there's a place that is ferried along by this ferryman, Kerti. It is interesting that Charon, Kerti, whatever, does appear different to different people. So, he says, we met a woman. Her name was Karen. Ha ha ha. Anyway, so, yeah, he has more or less the same story as everybody else. Well, not everyone, but almost everyone in the city above was killed in the Great Fire of Rome, particularly running to or in the river, the Tiber, that flows through Rome to where we supposedly woke up. The fire is the Great Fire of 64. It was... you hear rumors about how it started. It was probably an accident. But you hear rumors that it was started by Nero on purpose so that he could rebuild Rome and his palaces the way he wanted. I mean, certainly that's what he did with the cleared space. Nero tried to blame it on the Christians, who were sort of newly popular as a scapegoat for everything in Rome. We do have a Christian faction in the city, and that's who's taken the Roman name of the god of the underworld off of the obelisk. So, His story's pretty consistent with everyone else here. I don't know that it's consistent with this nice piece of jewelry that he's wearing, but you know.
This is where I belong, as caretaker of the memories of my people. If our ways are to be remembered, it falls to me.
I mean, that's fair if he's figured out this is the Duat and he thinks that the Duat has been desecrated. Why should he go back up? Why shouldn't he stay here and try to guard it?
I think if someone is to break the golden rule, it will not be me. For I try to live as I always have by the command of the goddess Ma'at. Do to the doer to make him do. As for the punishment that will come from it, I finally understand why it has long been said among my people that gold is the skin of the gods.
I don't know if that's a real saying from ancient Egypt, but it's certainly believable. Ma'at, the goddess of truth, whose feather it is that is weighed against your heart when you die.
I do not know. What could possibly lie beneath the underworld? Perhaps it is infinite darkness. Perhaps it is the lair of Amit, the devourer of souls. All I know is, it would be unwise to venture down there.
Yeah, 'cause you haven't been fighting off the hungry children of Amit all this time, eh?
Most unwise.
Well, I guess that's all we can
Good.
really talk to him
Be
about.
gone from this place. Wait. You are planning to go down there. I see it in your eyes.
That's true. I am.
You would plunge into the depths of the Duat with no way back up. Madness.
You said that already.
We shall see.
We shall, in fact. But first, I want to look around. Oh, right. You know what? I have a flashlight. Well, I can't tell what this carving is. I mean, clearly, it is something. Oh, that looks like a lion. Or maybe a sphinx? Oh, there are two of them back to back. And that hole is right through a circular portal. I wonder if this is meant to be parallel to the temple of Proserpina up top. I bet it is. I bet that circle is the portal loop. So let's see what else we have here. So you have some tools, the same vases, a little tent he's clearly been living in. That's Kerti. That's Kerti. That's the ram-headed.
That lamp. Praise Ra. Truly, the gods are powerful in this place.
Yeah, you don't know what a flashlight is. I forgot. I wanna know about Kerti. Maybe I can walk around. Can I get over there? Maybe. Yeah! Statue of Kerti, the Egyptian ram-headed deity believed by the Egyptians to ferry the deceased to the underworld. It's associated with the death and Osiris, the god of the underworld. Must be the man in the ram headdress who Kabash said he saw when he woke by the river. Yes. So, if you don't know the story of Osiris, oh, look at these lovely. Oh, I wish I were an Egyptologist. I don't know enough. Osiris was the king of the gods, betrayed by his brother Set and killed. And Set cut his body up into pieces so that he wouldn't come back. And hid them all over the world, or sometimes in a wooden pillar. Depends on the exact story. Ooh, what's that? Ooh. That looks like the shaft that we fell into. I wonder if this used to be a pool. I bet it was. I bet that's just like the shaft that we fell through when we came into this underworld. And what do we see?
That lamp, praise Ra. Truly, the gods are powerful in this place.
Oh, well, I wasn't planning to go down here quite that fast, but I'll pause here for a minute just in case there's anything scary down here. Ooh, I'm so intrigued. Okay, so Osiris was cut up and hidden. His wife Isis went on a long journey to find all of his pieces and stitch them back together and brought him back to life, but now he is the god of the underworld. And Isis is the goddess of life. So that's just sort of the basic mythology of that. And that actually is not too dissimilar from the other Catabasis stories, the going down into the underworld and returning stories that we get, like Persephone or Proserpina, where, someone is taken from the world of the living to the underworld or killed, and then a mother goddess figure, in Greek Demeter, in Latin Keres, in Egyptian Isis, goes to fetch them back out. And we get this sort of cycle of life and death, and it's usually associated with the seasons. Okay, so while I'm paused here, before anything happens, I just want to say how exciting it is to just be front and center in this view, on the right side. It's not really center. This beautiful Lamassu, this Hittite carving. Hittite? Is that right? Assyrian, Akkadian. Lamassu is Assyrian specifically, known as the winged bull, but it is always human-headed. So it's very similar to a sphinx. I have seen this particular carving. It's so beautiful. Again, I'm not as familiar with this as I am with the Greek and Roman stuff, so please forgive me if I get some things wrong. But look at the completely different style of clothing and facial hair. Like, look at his face. Look at his braids. Oh yes, this is an Assyrian man and an Assyrian woman. Look at the pleats on her dress. It was probably spangled. They have great textiles from this area. And these vulture-headed deities, I guess they're probably the Assyrian psychopomps. Oh, just gorgeous. Okay, well let's go get our plaque. Sumerian plaque bearing a cuneiform inscription, Nergal the Fierce One. So yes, Nergal, and I don't read cuneiform, but I have again been informed that this is actually the inscription that is written here. So, wow, just wonderful. It's beautiful, Lamasu. What else have we got? We've got that fellow. Can we get over to him? Come on, let me up. Sometimes it's not clear what I can and can't get to. We can see up that shaft. Oops, underwater. Okay, so let's get out of the pool and maybe we can walk up to a curious statue. An ancient Mesopotamian statue of a creature with the head of a man, body of a bull, and wings. It's positioned as if guarding the entrance. Yes, these were the guards of the underworld. What about you? Bird-headed statue. Sumerian statue of a man with the head of a bird. Kumat Tabal, who Rufius saw when he awoke by the river. Rufius was one of our guards up top. Who had a vaguely Middle Eastern phenotype, even though he is Roman, was part of the Roman Guard. Like I said, the Romans really, like, anybody born in the Roman Empire could be Roman, could be raised Roman. Sumerian plaque, Sins of the Many, of course. Oh gosh, look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Little clay tablets. I don't know if this brickwork is particularly Sumerian. I think of Sumerians as having more smooth. I'm gonna get out my golden bow. First of all, it gives me a little bit of light. Not in particular sure why, but secondly, just in case, because I don't know. So, lots of kumatabals. More of these wonderfully dressed Sumerian statues. Yes, yes, they do turn to look at you. And you'll notice actually that the facial features are a mix. So no idea what I'll find down here. But so far nothing moving. That's good. Oh, somebody tried to fight? Look at those fists. Trying to protect some women. There's water here. I don't know if it's worth going into. I don't know if I can go into it. It seems to be preventing me. Is that pottery? It looks like stoneware, actually. Oh, but this is certainly pottery. There's not a whole lot to see here, unfortunately. I wish I had a bit more to go on. But these, you can see the very clear difference in architecture from the previous areas. It's sort of very square, sharp angles of the brickwork. I don't know that they really went in for brickwork so much. What's this? It's a water spout of some kind. Inspect the boulder. Huh. Well, it rolled here. Where from? I don't know. Okay, the Sumerians were trying to defend themselves from something. Well, there's really only one thing to defend yourself from here. Oh, this poor guy. Huh. That's an intriguing pose. I wonder if she was somehow in command. So, is there anything more this way? Aside from more statues. What am I hearing? I don't know what I'm hearing. It sounds... It could be water, it could be fire. It's clearly not on this side of this wall. Oh, we actually get some Sumerian pottery details. The Sumerians were the first to develop the turning pottery wheel, which allowed them to mass-produce pottery. I did not know that. That's pretty awesome. I wonder if we don't get that detail if we don't pick the archaeologist. But why wouldn't we pick the archaeologist? Okay. So, let's see what's through this gate. Stone tablet. Whoa. Stranger, heed the final words of Namkuzu and bear witness to our aftermath and lament us. We did our best to live as the gods commanded. We planted and harvested together. We shared bread and beer. We accepted newcomers with open arms as a family. But with each newcomer, the bonds of our family strained, and soon we were as strangers to each other. And when those bonds were finally broken, my brothers and sisters planted only for themselves and ate and drank alone. It was there, in the empty space between us, that sin took root. Nergal's sentinels have awoken and clamor at our barricades. Learn from our Alas. He died as he was scribing it. Ooh, and what are these? Oops. Forgot that was a thing. Stop that. Stop that. I want to zoom in on these. What are those? Oh, I need to look that up because they look kind of vaguely like board game to me, which we all know is my favorite type of artifact. Okay, but seriously, I need my golden bow out. 'Cause I am not gonna get eaten. More people. The other side of these really nicely worked gates. Well, there does appear to be only so far I can go. I don't see anything moving. Oh, run, run, run. Well, that happened. I guess there were booby traps here. Very Indiana Jones. A corroded brass plate with Sumerian markings. A pressure plate for some kind of trap. I see. Oh, but I want to keep exploring. So they built booby traps here. Fascinating. It was stored up there. Another person. Some more barricades. More and more and more. The pottery, which is probably just the same, yeah. But this is many shall suffer. Yep. So let's see, where were we? There's another boulder. Hello, boulder friend. Look at that. I wonder if we can... Oh, not really. Just look at that beautiful ramp, that beautiful brickwork.
When I told you that you would not find a way back up, that was not a prediction. That was a promise. You will die here.
Come on, Kabash.
I disagree. I warned you against coming down here, against perpetuating this sacrilege, but you persisted. You have undermined and dishonored the true god of the underworld. How did you think this would end, if not with bloodshed? Very well, I will listen. But if I sense deception, or if you further insult my gods, I will carry out my threat. So tell me, why should I let you live after you salvaged this instrument of blasphemy?
I mean, all true. All true. There is no lie detected. As you could see earlier when we had the option to lie, it does tell us. And I believe all these things. I do believe all these things. But I think, in particular, that Kabash needs to hear this. Just because something changes over time, even if it's taken by colonizers, but in this case not. I mean, there's no link between the Assyrians and the Egyptians in that way. The Egyptians didn't take them over, didn't colonize them. But, you know, it's hard to learn that you aren't the origin.
That may be true of many things, but this is different. If our gods were copied and corrupted from an older civilization, does that not mean they are false?
No.
Does that not mean our prayers to our gods all fell on deaf ears because we were not even addressing them by their true names?
Absolutely not if you're a Greek or Roman. That's absolutely not how a Greek or a Roman would think about this. I don't know about an ancient Egyptian, but a Greek or a Roman it was commonplace to have renamed gods, to have gods going by other names in other places, to have gods with slightly different attributes in other places. Like I've said in other places, Athena, for instance, in Athens is this revered and all-powerful goddess of wisdom and warfare who was like Zeus's right hand and was always better than Ares. And you know, if you go elsewhere in ancient Greece, she's really more the goddess of crafts. You know, like it varies even in that sort of scale. So I don't know about ancient Egypt, but that certainly would not be a Greek or a Roman perspective.
Now that I think about it, my people would sometimes call Osiris the god of many names. Perhaps it is so. But the underworld of my people is so different to this one, and so unlike the way it was described by our priests. Many of my ancestors endured great hardship to live good lives so that we may descend to the Duat in death and be judged accordingly. We prepare to have our hearts weighed on Anubis' scales and to swear ourselves innocent of sin before the 42 assessors of Ma'at. And yet, I arrive here to find the Book of the Dead contained only a seed of truth. And now I ask myself, did our priests steal and embellish the stories of an older people and feed us lies all our lives simply to trick us into obedience?
So, you know, people often talk about the sort of the bureaucracy of underworlds like this, like the Christian hell and heaven, and how the ranks of angels are divided, or you know, the sort of fascinating divisions between Greek Elysium and you know, the pits of Tartarus. But like, I love that they just went ahead and went the 42 assessors of Ma'at, this very sort of bureaucratic terminology, which, you know, I have always thought that gods cannot be more than a reflection of how humanity sees itself. But you know, your mileage may vary if you have a particular belief set. But that's my personal feeling, and it's just really interesting to see that here. I don't know enough about the Book of the Dead to know what common translations there are for the judges of Ma'at. I think they're more often called judges than assessors, but I like the term assessors a lot. I think it speaks to this very orderly vision of the afterworld. Afterlife? Underworld. You knew what I meant.
I am not sure I follow. Speak plainly.
Again, in a different conversation, I might say the second option here, but I don't think it's what Kabash needs to hear.
Perhaps there is some truth in that. What is your point? You are persuasive. Very well. I will let you live, and you may do what you will with that plaque. I will remain here for a while, and attempt to learn what I can about the foundations of my people's beliefs. Go.
Well, that was sure intimidating. I don't know which way it's coming from. Oh, that way. Okay. I thought it might come down this way. But, oh, look at this ramp. Oh, is there more this way? No, it just ends. I love these waterfalls. I love how it looks down here. Just look at this gorgeous scenery. Ah, I can't get enough of it. I think we are also going to be blocked this way, yes. Okay. There is no way out but out. And Kabash will stay here. I don't want to talk to him again. I mean, I do, but I don't. I don't know what he might say. So, up the ladder we go. And... oh. Do we get to just skip back to the top? That would be nice. Oh. Yes. Good. Fabulous. I wish I had a map, but I'm pretty sure I want to go this way. Back to the Greek catacombs. Well, that was very exciting and very beautiful, and I sincerely wish that there had been a Sumerian there for us to talk to as well. I love those traps! Oh gosh, that's so neat. Well, I've returned. I'm gonna talk to him, and then we're gonna end for the day.
Good to see you again, friend. Did you find what you need?
Well, he's already told us all these things, so I suppose
I enjoyed
that's
our
all.
chat, but please keep my presence here a secret. Yes.
Okay, I'm on my way back to the surface, and I think that's where we're going to call it for today. Thank you so much for coming on this journey with me, and I will see you next weekend. Keep learning, friends.